Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to math. Today we're going to cover complex numbers. Okay, so the objective for today is to know how to label complex numbers. Okay, meaning there's a specific equation we're going to use. Okay, that equation is known as standard form or rectangular form in some other cases. Okay, when it comes to geometry and trigonometry and pre-calculus, it's usually known as a rectangular form. Okay, some people know it as standard form, but there are so many different standard forms. Okay, so try to get more familiar with when saying rectangular form for this equation, because if you say standard form, it might be standard form for a slope, standard form for, so keep in mind guys, okay, even though it's a standard form of complex numbers, it is also known as a rectangular form, okay, which is the answer, okay, represented by Z, equals A plus BI, okay. Today we're dealing with I, which is an imaginary number. So far we have learned different ways to write X and Y, okay. We've learned X and Y. We learned cosine, sine. We learned f of x, g of x. We've also learned today's part, which is real and imaginary. Okay? So hint, hint. Your x-axis is your real number. Your y-axis is your imaginary. Meaning, when it comes to the unit circle and triangles as well. Okay? Let's say we have our graph. Okay? On this graph, we have 1, 2, 3, say 1, 2, 3. Okay? If we have a point at 3 and 2, okay, keep in mind, from origin to our dot, okay, we always create a theta. Theta is always on your horizon, okay, it's always on your horizontal line. Keep in mind, again, this is your real, your imaginary. Okay? Your x-axis is your real numbers, your y-axis are your imaginary numbers in our plane. Meaning that if we want to find this point, okay, wherever it's located at, we know where it's located at. We know that x-axis is 3. Its y-axis is 2. Okay? So 3 and 2. Now that we know that, we can actually create a problem. Okay? Which is a complex problem. The way we're going to do it is A, again, is your real number. B is your imaginary. Okay? So if you wanted to create a problem, if I were to say, let's create a problem using this point here, we can say that Z equals A, which in this case is a real number, which is a x-axis, which is 3, plus BI. Okay? We have an I, and then we have our B, which in this case our B is our imaginary number, our y-axis, which our y-axis we went up 2. And that is it. We're done. Okay? the whole point of today's concept again is to know how to label it, to know which one's your x, which one's your y, which one's your real number, which one's your imaginary number, okay, and how to set it up into an equation, okay. So, for example, let's say I have another one. Let's do one more just for practice. If I were to say I have another point at 1, 2, 3, let's say 3 and 1, okay? Again, it's always the closest to your x-axis, or theta is there. So we're going to make our thing here. Okay. So again, we have 1 as our x, and we have -3 as the y. Since we have that, we can say that z equals, again, your real number goes first, which in this case your real is your x-axis, which is 1. But this time we're dealing with a negative, okay? So minus 3i. Okay? Since we're dealing with a negative number. And that's it. Okay? Alright, I want you guys to, on yours, when I give you the points, show me how it looks once it's drafted in there. Okay, and then give me the equation. Okay? Alright, so let's see here. Make sure you have all this on your notes. Alright guys, your points are, for number 1, we have a point at 2, -3. For number 2, -2 and 4. Okay. For number 3, we have one at -1, -4. Okay. Make sure you graph the points. Make sure you create your equation. Okay. Alright, make sure you send me your answers as soon as you're done watching the video. And I'll be here waiting for your email.